I'm a pretty health conscious person, so when I go to the grocery store, a lot of what I buy really depends on what I read on the label. Now, I'm not talking about fats and calories. I'm talking about what exactly is in food. What exactly is in the food I'm eating. I'm talking about the ingredients. But what if I told you that what was in that list of ingredients was only half the truth? And what about foods that don't even have labels, like fruits and vegetables? How am I to make a well-informed decision about what I'm putting into my body if I'm not being given all of the information? In Proposition 37, we will be given the opportunity to decide whether all foods containing GMOs are to be labeled. Now, you're probably thinking, a GMO, what's a GMO? What does that have to do with me? Well, according to David Apple of the Wilson Quarterly in an article published in 2003, GMOs have been commercially produced in the United States since 1996. And within 5 years, GM crop acreage grew from 0 to 130 million acres. So today, 75% of all foods sold in U.S. supermarkets, from breakfast cereals to frozen pizza, contains ingredients derived from GM crops. According to William Hallman of Choices Magazine in an article published in 2005, he suggests that the reason why people haven't been paying more attention to this issue is because there's not a lot of information being provided to the people about genetic modification. So in this speech, I will be informing you about genetically modified organisms. First, I will discuss with you the basic concept of genetic modification. Second, I will discuss with you the effects that GMOs have on the environment. And third, I will discuss with you the effects that GMO have on your health. So starting off, what is a GMO? Basically, genetic modification is when you directly manipulate the genes of a living organism through a range of methods. The most controversial of these methods is through rDNA technology. And what that is when scientists directly manipulate the genes within a living organism, either by removing genes, doubling genes, introducing foreign genes, or changing the gene positions in order to directly influence the way the organism grows and develops. Now, there's a lot of reasons to why scientists do this. One reason is to obtain desirable traits within a crop. For example, scientists can create pest-resistant potatoes. And it's a pretty complicated process to how they do this, but basically a scientist will start with the stem cell of a potato plant, and he will introduce a little snippet of the DNA of a virus that usually attacks that potato plant in real life. And as this stem cell begins to grow, it will mature into a transgenic organism with a piece of that viral material in each of its cells. So once it develops into a potato, it has resistant qualities already built in within it. Another reason to why scientists do this is, or why scientists genetically modify food, is to suppress unwanted traits. Through rDNA technology, scientists can remove certain undesirable proteins by silencing the genes responsible for its creations. For example, they're trying to silence the protein that causes most allergic reactions in peanuts, making it a lot safer to eat. So now that you know a little bit about genetic modification, I'm going to go on to tell you about the environmental effects that GMOs have. And one of the negative effects is that has arisen as a result of genetic modification is outcrossing. And what outcrossing is the accidental cross-pollination of pesticides with weeds. And why this is dangerous is because if weeds inherit that pest-resistant trait from GM crops, then it gets a huge survival advantage over other important species of plants, and it'll eventually overcrowd them. And another negative effect is that it could directly threaten wildlife. For example, in a laboratory experiment, it was found that butterfly larvae were actually died when they were fed pollen that came from GE corn. And according to Margaret Mullen in a conference regarding genetically modified food, she states that if GE pollen was toxic to butterfly larvae in a crop environment, then it could cause serious damage to at least 50% of the butterfly population. So some of the positive effects that it has had on the environment is that One, it could minimize soil erosion over a period of time. Unlike traditional farming methods where a farmer has to plow or turn over the soil before each farming session, GE crops already have that pest-resistant and herb-resistant traits already built in its genetic makeup, so they don't require a lot of plowing, so that minimizes soil erosion. Another positive effect is that over time it minimizes the use of pesticides since it already has pest-resistant qualities in their genetic makeup, so that could eliminate outcropping, which was an original problem. Now that you know a little bit about the environmental effects, I'm going to go on to talk to you about the health effects of GMOs. And one of the positives of GMOs is that it increases the nutritional value of certain foods. For example, GE rice contains 35 micrograms of beta-carotene per serving. Now this could eliminate the problem of vitamin A deficiency and reduce the risk of childhood blindness. Other forms of GE rice also contain 80% more zinc and iron contain 80% more zinc and iron, which could reduce the risk of iron deficiency anemia and zinc deficiency anemia. Some of the negative effects that it can have on your health is that you can actually get too much of these phytochemicals and nutrients that are put into the food, so you can overdose on nutrients basically. There are also other unintentional consequences. For example, celery growers for many years, they were crossing really good-looking celery, and what happened was the reason why the celery was so good-looking, I guess, is because there was a pesticide that was in that celery that was causing it to stay that way, and over time, people who started handling the celery actually developed a skin rash. So that's a bad thing that happened. And so now that you know a little bit about, as to the nutritional composition of genetically modified food, it's basically the same except for some of the additives that add to the nutrients. So like eating a serving of GE rice would be the same as eating regular rice with like a beta-carotene protein supplement or beta-carotene supplement. So it's basically the same thing. So now that you know a little bit about genetically modified food and some of the environmental consequences and the health impact that it has, you can make a better informed decision about, when you go to the grocery store, you can make a better informed decision about what you're putting into your body. Now, unfortunately, this proposition did not pass, so there's not really much you can do in that aspect, but the next time you go to the grocery store, you could decide for yourself of whether this is an issue that you feel that you need to take more action on, and whether you feel that it is important to take extra steps to have our government take a bigger stand on genetically modified food in regards to labeling them, so we can know exactly what we're putting into our bodies. So, thank you.